All righty, welcome back for another episode of Two Plain Sports. We got an interesting one for you today. OU lands another transfer, wide receiver transfer in the portal. For all you people, we're getting transfers as well because I know Trojans are lurking in our comments for whatever reason. We're going to talk a little bit about Ashton Cozart and an update on his recruitment. And then OU made a top 7 for another stud wide receiver out of Florida. And then we're going to do a little discussion and debate on the whole Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher going back and forth. I think we all enjoyed it because I don't think any of us are big. We're not big Saban or Jimbo fans, but I for sure know I'm not a big Jimbo guy. So we got a good one for you today. It's going to be a lot of back and forth. I know a lot of you guys like the discussion, and it should be pretty good. So, but before we get into it, we just want to say we really appreciate it. We hit that 4,200 subscriber mark earlier this week. We're trying to roll up to 4,300 with an ultimate goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So help us out. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. And then if you already subscribed and you want to take that next step, be a part of Two Planes, just hit the notification bell. I mean, it's free as well. I mean, it helps you keep up with us because we are posting 3 times a week most of the time, and most of the time 9:30 Central and 3 times a week. But sometimes we mess up a time, sometimes we forget to upload, or sometimes we just can't record and it comes out on a Tuesday or a Thursday. So be sure to hit that button. Also find us on our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, like us there, share us on there, find us on Apple and Spotify. If you don't want to look at us, don't blame you. Everything's linked below. And the more you subscribe, the more you share, the more you like, the more we'll be able to give away tickets upcoming this fall. And as we can get closer to and bigger, we'll build a website and we'll build merch. So just help us out. It's free and easy. So the first guy we're going to talk about, and I'm pretty excited about, honestly, I kind of penciled him in as going away and not going to be a Sooner after Hester committed and transferred to OU, is LV Bunkley-Shelton last night, I don't know, 9-10 o'clock Central Time, posted that he is transferring to Oklahoma, another wide receiver joining the room. We talked about him a few times over the last few weeks since he visited, and then we kind of stopped talking about him because once Hester, I think I even mentioned it, that once Hester transferred in, I felt like there were no spots left. LV Bunkley-Shelton, he's coming from Arizona State, originally a 4-star kid in the 2020 class. He redshirted his freshman year and then played a decent amount with Jaden Daniels as his quarterback. Last year, he accumulated 33 catches, 418 yards, and 2 touchdowns. A smaller guy, 5'11", 195 pounds. He's originally from Gardena, California. So he's a more shifty, kind of a slot guy per se, kind of like a good replacement for a Cody Jackson in his role. I think Bunkley-Shelton can come in and make an immediate impact. And I think part of the reason why he was a take all of a sudden, and which I think his talent was no question, it's just more of the spots, is the fact that the NCAA waived the scholarship cap for 2 years because of COVID and the transfer portal. Jose, what do you think about Bunkley-Shelton and the prospects of him playing this fall and what he can bring over the next 3 years?
He was a very important addition to the wide receiver room. I think out of the 3 of us, I've probably been the one pushing the panic button the most on the overall depth at that position, because it is bad. And this definitely helps. It's going in the right direction. I still think that there's a lot of improvement to be made because of the year after next. And I know people in the comment section are saying that we're overlooking this upcoming season. I'm not. I know that there's a lot of really good talent that's going to be out there this football season, but after next year, what to look like. And right now it looks very slim in regards to how many players are even in that room, but he'll be a great addition. I think I don't know if he'll impact the team immediately. Like you said, it seems like he's a little bit more of a slot guy, which at that point he'd be competing with Drake. And I think Drake, not only with his experience at Oklahoma, but given the time he's had with this offense right now, I would put him as the front runner to be the starting slot receiver. So it's going to be tough for him to get a lot of time. Will he get time? Probably. So at least that's good, but he'll definitely post next year, because Drake is going into his redshirt senior year. he should be able to start getting some time in this offense and hopefully start making an impact for, I believe he's got 3 years of eligibility. So hopefully for 2 years after next season, he's got a big role in this offense.
Yeah, I'm glad that, first of all, I'm glad that we beat out Kansas for his final two. Those Jayhawks, they were there, they're pesky. So it's good to beat them out. But as Ho said, and it's the biggest thing with him, he brings depth to a room that was looking relatively thin beyond this season. I absolutely agree with Hose on Drake is going to be the starter this year. He's that guy. He's got the last name. And I'm not saying he's starting because of his last name, but it's cool to have Stoops out there, and he's definitely going to be the guy. He's a good player. I like Drake Stoops. He's that guy. So I think for Bunkley-Shelton, it goes into next year when Drake Stoops is gone, when Marvin Mims is likely gone, when Theo Weiss is likely gone. He's going to be competing with the J.J. Hesters, the Jaden Gibsons, the Nick Andersons. I think his primary competition as the roster looks right, and Farouk too. I keep forgetting about Farouk. He'll be here next year or the year after this. So he's still going to be competing, and plus the guys that we'll bring in the 23 class that aren't here yet. So this year I don't see it, but next year he'll have a legitimate chance to compete for one of those roles. It's the second 4-star in a week with the addition of Hester as well. All good news. Cale Gundy, LaDamian Washington having a hell of a week there for OU. You like to see that?
Yeah.
I forgot what I was. That's it's good depth, good guy to have for next season. I don't think he'll play this season.
Yeah, I honestly, I could see him playing a decent amount. Just running more slot guys. I don't know. I feel like he comes in. He's got some experience. He's going to have a leg up. But you're right. He's going to be competing against Drake Stoops, and that's going to be a tough, a tall task. But it just depends on the package they're going to be running out. But I feel significantly better about this wide receiver room now with Bunkley-Shelton here. Hester, we knew he was here because it's been about a week now. I feel pretty good because at the end of the day, OU's going to pick up 2 or 3 guys at a high school, 3 and 4, maybe a 5-star, but mostly 3 and 4 stars this fall. And I think we're going to be seeing this mobility within the transfer portal again in the next offseason. So there's nothing to say that OU won't be able to go out there and get someone with an experience like a Mike Woods that comes in as a graduate transfer to bring some veteran leadership to pair up with these younger kids, because it's going to be extremely young. I mean, you start looking at it. I mean, a lot of freshmen right now, I'm talking about in the 23 season, a lot of freshmen that are right now incoming transfers that are just finished their redshirt freshman year, sophomore year, whatever. It's going to be very, very young. I think they're going to bring in 1 or 2 transfers plus 2 or 3 guys out of high school. And with the lift of the restrictions for the scholarship cap, it's also going to provide some flexibility there. So I feel pretty good. I think Gundy and Tomlinson it's Washington. Washington are going to be able to get their own. So I feel pretty good. And we'll talk about Cozart, Ashton Cozart. We talked about him in the last video about the report that came out. He's a 2023 4-star, 6'3", 180-pound kid out of Flower Mound, Texas. It sounds like his visit is going to happen, going to Oregon this weekend. Like we talked about, he's originally from the Pacific Northwest. I think he's going to go, and I don't think he's going to decommit publicly. I think he's on a true flip watch quickly. I know that the best case scenario is if he shows up for the Champion Barbecue. But from what I've kind of understood is if you're committed, but you're still visiting elsewhere, Venables will not guarantee your roster spot. So if they have a run of 3 kids that commit all this Saturday, Cozart's out. His scholarship is going to be gone because he's going to give it to someone that's already going to lock down their recruitment. I just feel like it's not good. I mean, nothing good comes of him just going to check out another school, especially the Pacific Northwest where he's from. NIL might be a big deal. Oregon's probably, they got a lot of money to hand out. I don't think it's great. I could see him flipping very soon. I mean, I'm not overly upset. I mean, do what's ever best for you. And the fact that they got Bunkley-Shelton, that eases the blow just a little bit. Brandon, what do you think?
Well, I agree. It's not great. I mean, if he was in love with Oklahoma, he's not going on a date with Oregon. So that part it is tough. I kind of think it still would be a big blow. I'm still excited for Ashton Cozart because at the moment he's still a Sooner. I'm hoping it stays that way. Maybe he's just got a little bit of cold feet because he is a young kid, and maybe he does have that little bit of homesickness, as you mentioned. He's from that region of the country, so he'll check it out. I'm sure it'll go well. They'll put him in, I'm sure, 47,000 different uniforms and do cool stuff like that. So I'm sure he'll have a good visit. Obviously, I don't follow Oregon recruiting as well, but I don't know, like, for him as a player, I don't know that Oregon is the better play. And again, obviously, I don't follow the recruiting as much as I do Oklahoma recruiting as well. But I think Dylan Gabriel is going to be a pretty good player, and there's a chance he can play with Dylan Gabriel next season. And if not, I think Jackson Arnold is going to be a hell of a prospect. So I'd have to look up Oregon's quarterback currently and who's, some of the recruits that are coming, because I'm sure they have some decent players. I mean, Oregon's not a garbage program. But I know that they're high on Rashada or whatever, so they've got players. Hopefully he stays a Sooner. I think it would be a big loss. I think Ashton Cozart is going to be a pretty special college football player.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Jaden Rashada, and I've been doing a lot of thinking over like the way that Oklahoma's recruiting right now with this stuff, and it's definitely it's not like it's going poorly. I think it's working to the way that Venables and the staff want it to work. We want to have guys that are committed to the program. I do think they probably need to be a little bit more flexible, because just like with NIL and with social media, how it's become so relevant in this recruiting process is, whatever your feelings are towards NIL and social media being a part of it, that is what it is. That's just how this generation of recruiting is. And these guys are a lot more connected. It's not like they're strangers to to a guy 4 states over. They can just chat, message each other on social media. They play each other at camps, 7-on-7 programs like that. They're very connected. And I think the fact that Jaden Rashada seems to be very high on the Oregon program, maybe a piece of the puzzle as to why Ashton Cozart is considering going to be a Duck. And I mean, to say that I don't blame him, I don't, but I like Brandon. I hope he stays at Oklahoma, because I think he will be a special player with just the talent that he has alone. Once he's got someone that can coach him and put him in the right position to succeed, I think it would be really helpful. Sometimes with this kind of situation, I think back to the Jackson Arnold recruitment, and when he committed, it was so rushed with how that quarterback commitment happened. And it's not like we were strangers to that, because it was always that way with Lincoln Riley as well. It was just which quarterback you wanted the most. That's the one they were going to get. And this one was a little different, because if Jaden would have just visited before Jackson, Jaden would be the 2023 commit, not Jackson Arnold. And how would that change things over, the course of recruiting wide receivers? And I'm not saying Jackson Arnold is a bad recruit at all. And I think he'll be good. But it seems like recruiting platforms from, camps that he's going to, Jaden is getting a lot more traction. And this guy has an argument to be the number 1 quarterback in the 2023 class. So I think there's a lot of things that are going to go into that. And maybe we're going to look back in like 5 years and say, man, maybe Venables and Levy should have waited a couple of weeks and then just assessed the situation and and then they made the choice which quarterback they want, rather than the quarterback picking that they're going to be a Sooner before the other one even got a shot.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a fair point. It's going to be, those two are going to be tied together. We're going to be watching them over the next 4 or 5 years, and we're going to see who has the better career, or maybe they both have terrific careers, and it'd be like, well, it's like 1A and 1B, whatever. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, they're both talented. I feel like they both should have really, really good careers. But I do think that Rashada could be playing a factor in his role, or in his recruitment. And, it is what it is. And like we talked about in the previous video from Wednesday, there's a lot of recruits that are still high on the Sooners from the wide receiver position. OU is going to get their own at that spot, whether Cozart's there or not. It will hurt in the short term, but never forget the last year's recruitment, how we had, what was his, Luther Burden, and then was it Hudson and someone else. And then we ended up with Jaden Gibson and Nick Anderson. And I forget who else came in that class. But, I mean, talented guys. We're very high on Jaden Gibson. We see a lot of potential with him. So things happen for a reason. We just got to stay the course and trust it. So kind of on a positive note, speaking of the more wide receiver talk, Aidan Mizell, we have never talked about him. Never really thought we had a reason to. He announced his top 7 today, and OU is firmly in that top 7. He's a 6'2", 280-pound wide receiver from Orlando, Florida. Another Florida target for the Sooners. I mean, I feel like OU is all over the state of Florida, especially with their visit for the Soul Mission. I mean, they're doing that in mind, keep OU in Florida. He's a 4-star, number 155 overall, number 21 wide receiver in the class. A guy that is an absolute burner. He ran in his 400-meter dash, he ran a 47.8, and I had to ask Jose because he ran it in high school, and anything under 50 is really, really fast. So, I mean, that's blazing. Last year as a junior, caught 47 passes, 1,003 yards, and 18 touchdowns. And he's 6'2" already. I mean, the kid's going his senior year, he's 6'2", 180. I'd imagine he's going to put on some weight between now and the end of his season. He might even grow an inch or two. The guy is a fantastic prospect. OU, I think, is firmly in it. Something to watch is the fact that, if they can get a visit out of him, hopefully, maybe it might not be for the Champion Barbecue, but hopefully they can get him on campus. Both his parents, I believe, ran track at Florida, so he has some Florida ties. But from what I've read, it seems like he's pretty open, and that all 7 schools have a pretty even playing field. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. His top 7 are Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Oklahoma, UCF, and our buddies out west, USC. Something to watch. Brandon, what do you think about Mizell and his long-term outlook?
18 touchdowns on 47 catches. I think that's stupid. That's good. That's like, let's not quite half, but it's better than a third. Going for touchdowns. Also to put up 1,000 yards on 47 catches, also relatively efficient. So I think that speaks to that burner speed that he has. But he also, a lot of times when you have these really fast guys, your Hollywood Browns of the world, they come in a little smaller. That 5'10", 5'9" frame. This dude at 6'2", running that fast. It's like Jaden Gibson. I'm super, super high on Jaden Gibson. I think Jaden Gibson is going to be a monster. It would be awesome to pair him with Jaden Gibson. I think that receiving room can go from a room that we're concerned with to a room that we feel could be one of the strongest units on the team, with just a matter of a couple commitments. So Gundy and Washington, keep doing what you're doing. Clearly, you've had a good week here. This would be a huge one to bring in. I understand it's going to take some time. He's stamped, as I like to bring up all the time, because I think that does mean something just with Alabama's success. If Nick Saban wants you, I want you. It's kind of how it's like another metric that I judge these recruits on. Anybody that Alabama wants, if they just come to us instead of them, I like that. And he's stamped. I hope that it works out for us.
Yeah, I like that you brought up the fact, his size and how fast he is. It would bring that extra element without missing out on what it seems like this staff is going after, which is big, athletic human beings. And like Brandon said, normally when you get someone that's this fast, they're a little smaller, usually under 6 foot, coming in super light, where kind of like you said, D.D. Westbrook or Hollywood Brown, you're going to have to pack on muscle over the first year, and it's pretty much a guarantee that they're going to be redshirted when they come on campus because they aren't physically ready to compete at the college level. This guy, on the other hand, he might be a little light, but it's not like you'd be concerned that he's going to break because he's too thin, coming in as a freshman. So he would add that extra element with Jaden on the other side. So that I think having that potential is exciting to think about for the future. I don't quite understand how we made it to his top 7 from, just from what I know so far about his recruitment. This kind of came out of nowhere, which is a nice surprise, but I don't know how good of the chances are that we're going to land a guy that we really haven't had much communication with.
Negative Nancy.
I'm just saying, like, realistically, it seems like it's happening a lot with recruits, like Peter Woods. Like, he came out of nowhere, and Oklahoma wasn't on the radar for him, and that's because of Todd Bates, right? But Clemson's still on the map for him, and it's more so on the defensive line position because of relationships that they had with Venables and Bates and Chavis. But it's happening with other positions, and obviously, it'd be great that these coaches can capitalize and at least be put in a position where it's us or another school. But I think right now we're in kind of a limbo because some players are solely coming over because they really have a good relationship with the coach, which is great. But on the other hand, if they've been recruited, for example, like Peter Woods, he's been recruited by Clemson for a long time now. It seems more likely that he's going to take the relationships he's built at Clemson over Oklahoma unless Todd Bates can really prove something to him in the beginning part of this football season. And I think it's all going to rely on how does Oklahoma start the football season, both on offense and defense. Because if we look not even average, like, I feel like that the play has to look good for these recruits to be like, all right, I know that this place is the place for me. I'm going to take it more seriously now. I think that's where I'm a little like, how serious are they taking the possibility of being Sooner?
Yeah, I do agree. I think the way that OU plays this fall will have a big factor on how they finish out this class leading into December, the early National Signing Day. They put together a solid season, a really good season. I think OU is going to finish really, really strong and be set up really nicely for 2024. And really looking at the schedule, they shouldn't struggle like a whole lot. I mean, they might not go undefeated, but OU really should probably win the Big 12 again. I mean, let's be honest. Maybe I'm biased. I know I'm biased, but they really should. That's just what it comes down to. So enough about OU recruiting. We don't do this too often, but maybe just a little more of a discussion on some general college football talk and recent little bit of drama going back and forth. The little Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher back and forth. I love the fact that Nick Saban, Brandon, we were talking about it before we started. I mean, we both agree. I love that Saban went up there and just singled them out. Saban did come out today and said that, I shouldn't have singled him out, yada, 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 whatever. He's doing it on purpose because he knows. Everyone knows. I mean, that class, they spent millions of dollars on that class, which I can't fault the kids. I'm not going to say they're wrong for going to take that money because the odds of them, it's like 1% goes and plays in the NFL. And of that, of even smaller percentage makes a lot of money. So I don't blame the kids for going to get their money because how many times in your life are you going to be offered millions of dollars to go play football? Most kids probably not. So I don't blame them. I love that. And then Jimbo fired right back. Jose, I got to get your take on this whole situation and what you think about it.
I think Saban just pretty much is putting the NCAA on notice, but everyone in the country. Like, I've got my eye on you. And he said, who knows if he really didn't pay anyone? I don't know if I believe that. I'm sure that there's something happening there, but he's saying like this is going to be a problem if this continues. And I like that he just, like you guys said, he just sat up there and just said what he thought. He didn't really hold back. And I'm glad he pointed it out because Brandon's been a huge advocate of this. He's not saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, but he's never said that Jimbo is a terrible recruiter, but he's never had a class of this caliber. And there's times where it happens. There's definitely times where some colleges and coaches definitely just have a better year than others. But this is like, he's had maybe 1 or 2 5-stars and a good amount of 4-stars. This guy just went from having 1 or 2 5-stars to having like a third of the five-star group of this class. And it was all like, they were like Levius Overton, for example. I don't know if it was done because of the money. And for a lot of you guys that have been here watching us, I was like the proponent of who knows if he's doing this for the money. That's why I thought Oklahoma had a chance. But clearly there might have been something there, especially with his older brother. Like, money is definitely involved in this. And I think Jimbo Fisher and the entire A&M fan base just accept it. You're not breaking any rules anymore. Just say, hell yeah, we're paying these guys because we can. And until you're going to do something about it, NCAA, we're going to keep paying these guys because they deserve to be paid for the play that they're putting out on the field if they're good enough talents. Make sure there be more guardrails. I think so. But the NCAA isn't going to do a damn thing about it right now. So embrace it. Pay them $500,000 just to sign a piece of paper that says they're going to be at your university. Pay them whatever they want. Like, take advantage of the rules. I don't think Oklahoma should be shy to do it. Oklahoma, if we have the cash, we have people wanting to do it, let's pay these guys to do it. Every school is going to do it. And I don't think there's some sort of moral thing that's going wrong here. Like, we're paying them for being talented athletes. They're going to get paid somewhere else. Why not just embrace it until the NCAA says, don't do it anymore? Then we'll be like, all right, we won't do it anymore. But until they do something about it, embrace it and move forward. It's not like Saban said you're breaking the rules. He just said this isn't sustainable unless there's guardrails in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I was like chomping at the bit to hop in on this conversation, boys, because I've been passionate about this matter. I was going to bring up the Levius Overton video because, as you mentioned, you were a big proponent, Jose, as you know, I don't see money being his biggest thing, and it still might not be. We don't know exactly why Levius Overton went there. I with Levius Overton specifically, I think him growing up on that campus, being there all the time as a child, watching them, I think that did factor in. There's no doubt about it. But you're right on my Jimbo Fisher take. There are exceptions to, and I think Jimbo he's had good recruiting classes everywhere he's been. Florida State, A&M before NAL, all this stuff. Good recruiting classes. Like, he's never been a bad recruiter. But he usually lands 1 to 2, 5 stars, whatever. An exception, a really good year, to me, 3 or 4. That would make sense. You had a good year. You doubled your 5 stars that you usually get. Good year. To get 7, the year that the NIL becomes a thing, and say that it's a coincidence, as he did pretty much, and say that it's, well, his exact words, it's a shame or something, or he pretty much insinuated that you're wrong for saying that it's all money and that our coaches just busted their ass. That's bullshit. And I want somebody, I wish somebody on the national media side would be like, Jimbo, explain how you've never in your lifetime landed 7 5-stars until the year NIL came out, and you're saying it's a coincidence. Because it's not. It's absolutely not a coincidence. He's definitely, and I love that Saban just straight up said it on a stage, that Texas A&M bought their recruiting class because that's exactly what they did. I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 guys went there because they always wanted to be an Aggie. That'll always happen. You're always going to have those kids. But the fact that he got 7 this year without ever doing that before, that's like 3 times the 5 stars that he's ever got in one class, and he did it in one season. And to say that NIL had nothing to do with it or didn't factor into it, it's bullshit. It is. And I'm going to piggyback on your idea too, Hose, with those are the rules. So, yeah, they didn't break any rules. I wish he would just come out and say, yeah, we're buying these 5 stars because that is what the rule book is allowing us to do at this moment. Because at some point something has to change with it to even the playing field or something. But again, with Oklahoma, Barry Switzer put us in the game to do this stuff too. We could offer, what is it?
40 to 50K.
40 to 50K for football players to commit. We need to start playing that game too. If that's the way the game's going to go for now, until the guardrails do come up, take advantage of Switzer's program. That'll put us in conversation with all these kids who are looking for money. And like Brumbaugh said, I don't blame the kids either, because most of them are not going to make it in the National Football League, or at least have sustainable careers in the National Football League, to have like retirement like that. Like, they're going to have to get jobs probably in one way or the other. So I don't blame the kids. I think what A&M did is not good. I think it's shitty that they just bought an entire class of players. But with that being said, they didn't break any rules, and Oklahoma should do the same thing for now.
And real quick, it's crazy that all the players, most of their 5-stars are all in the same position group. Most are defensive linemen. If you think about like any other school, once they have like 2 or 3 like top defensive lineman recruits, you're like, all right, they're probably full. They don't have any more room in that. They don't have any more space in that specific position group. They're going to move on to a next, like the players, it may not make sense for them to go because it like now it's way too full for them to potentially max out their potential and make it to the league. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it might end up being that a couple of them are like, okay, I'll sign here, I'll register because I'm never going to play, get my money for just signing and be there for a year, enter the transfer portal and hit the lottery again next offseason, where another Power 5 program will pay them. Couple things is you can tell that Jimbo knows what they're doing by how upset he got. If it wasn't really happening, you would be like, whatever. I feel like I would just brush it off if I were him. But the fact that you get so defensive, it makes you look even more guilty. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I think this has been happening at every Power 5 school since the modern era, since in the last 30 years and even 40 years, college athletes have been getting paid one way or another. I just firmly believe it. I don't have any way to prove it. But, I mean, every kid I saw around when I was at OU was driving a brand new car. I mean, and every school has that. I mean, it seemed like everyone has really nice stuff. I'm not saying that they couldn't, but every so often not every kid has the ability to get a brand new car. I've never even had a brand new car.
They save their stipends, bud.
That's true.
Well,
that's true.
There's definitely examples like who was it? They were on Bussin' with the Boys. I don't know if anyone listens to it outside of us, but it was an older football player. The guy that's on the pivot, Brandon or Brum. Do you know who I'm talking about? Older running back.
Well, I don't know, but I know they.
Who?
Fred Taylor?
Yeah, Fred Taylor. Like he brought up an example. Like there's literally schools were paying him just to take the visit. And Mizell went on that same podcast and said, I got paid. I think he got paid. I mean, he got scammed. I think he got paid like $3,000, but he got paid for signing things. And it's not like the schools are going to do anything about it. They're not going to be like, hey, where did that $3,000 come from? How'd you get that diamond chain? How'd you buy your entire offensive line dinner? The kid can literally just say, I saved all my stipends so I can do that. And they're not going to say, they're not going to call bullshit. They're going to be like, all right, dude, go about your life.
Yeah, and I'm not upset with it. I just think it's just so funny that it's like, oh, this has never been happening. We never do this. Come on now. Yeah, the coach might not be handing out a check, but your booster is. I mean, it's fine. I don't care, but it's just like we're acting as if this is such a foreign concept. I don't know. So I just thought it was interesting. I'm just so pumped for the football season. I mean, we're a little over 3 months away, and I can't wait till it's here. It's going to be a good season. So a lot of reasons to be excited. Obviously, Alabama, Texas A&M, that'll be a fun game to watch. But the whole Oklahoma football season and everything that's happened, it makes it a little more exciting. Do you guys have any final thoughts? Or Brandon, do you want to just roll into your any video challenge?
Yeah, for sure. So this is going to be another two-parter. For since we're talking about just money being thrown around and getting added. All right. So for the first part of the question, I'm going to ask you guys to try to, and same for our audience, and then in the comment section, put yourself back in your 17, 18-year-old shoes, all right? If you woke up one day and you had $50,000 chilling in your bank account that wasn't there, how much dumb shit are you about to do, or what are you going to buy? Because I know for a fact at 17 and 18, I am not going to do anything smart. Probably nothing smart. I am going to go buy – I don't know. I'd put a down payment down on a Tiger or something. I would do something stupid. I would be like, I'm rich. I can buy Earth. So that's the first part. What are you guys doing at 18, 17 years old if you wake up and all of a sudden $50,000 that you hadn't had before is there and it's all yours? You can do whatever you want with it.
I'm probably just going to go to the mall and buy everything I ever wanted. That just like, oh, that looks cool. Yeah, give me like 3 of those just in case I like lose it. give me every single gaming console that you have in this GameStop, plus all the video games and 3 extra remotes so me and my buds can play. Yeah, I'd spend it all in a weekend.
Yeah.
I'd probably go buy a new pickup truck.
See, fair enough. I think we're all in agreement. We'd all do something stupid.
Yeah. So
present day, $50,000 tomorrow. You wake up, you never had it before. It's there. What are you doing?
Something responsible with it.
Saving it, just locking it away, not touching it.
Probably same too. But that's just not any fun. I mean,
no,
it would
not
be
fun at all.
$50,000 now, boys, because we're of age to do fun activities now. We can
maybe go on a vacation.
Weekend in Vegas, boys, if we really wanted to.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I might be kicked out of the house if I did that, though. So anyway, so
that's the video. Pretend you're 18 years old. You have for fresh 50,000. What are you doing? And present day, what are you doing? I imagine we'll see a lot of the same answers, but I'm excited to see some of these.
Yeah, I know if I blew 50 grand, I would be sleeping on the couch and maybe even in the street. So that's it. So let us know what you think on the recruitment of Ashton Cozart, the addition of LV Bunkley-Shelton, and the overall Jimbo Fisher as well. Just let us know everything. Let us know what you think, and we'll catch you on Monday. Thanks.